Hello dear friends. You are welcome to stay with Himalayan Beauty's YouTube channel. Don't forget subscribe our channel and share our videos and documentaries for sharing latest information. Today we will enjoy with wildlife. Wildlife conservation. Wildlife conservation is the practice of protecting animal species and their habitats. It is achieved partially through legislation such as the Endangered Species Act, the establishment and protection of public lands, and responsible public practices that conserve wild animal populations. What does the Endangered Species Act do? The Endangered Species Act, ESA, of 1973 is our nation's strongest law protecting wild plants and animals. It is enforced by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, USFS, and the National Marine Fisheries Service. Under the ESA, a species can be designated as threatened or endangered. Threatened and endangered species are protected under the provisions of the ESA, which restricts human activities that may harm these species and their habitats. Due in part by protections under the ESA, many species have been brought back from the brink of extinction. How do public lands promote wildlife conservation? In order to survive, a species requires adequate food, water, shelter, space, and opportunities to reproduce. In the United States, as elsewhere in the world, habitat destruction is a primary threat to the continued survival of species. Without the existence of suitable habitat, a species will eventually face extinction. Public lands include parks managed by the National Park Service and national wildlife refuges operated by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. These lands are set aside to be protected for animal and plant species, as well as future generations. In addition to habitat destruction, what are other threats to wildlife? The introduction of invasive species from faraway continents introduced by humans can wreak havoc on native plant and animal species. The proliferation of chemicals in the environment, including pesticides, PCBs, and oil spills, has the potential to poison wild animals and inhibit their reproductive capacities. Wild animal populations can also be threatened by poaching, wildlife trafficking, and military weapons testing. How can we promote the conservation of wildlife? Reduce, reuse, and recycle to protect wildlife habitat in the U.S. and abroad. Adopt a plant-based diet. Millions of acres of wildlife habitat are degraded in the U.S. and abroad to raise livestock for slaughter and crops to feed livestock prior to slaughter. Do not participate in sport hunting. Take shots only from your camera. Write your legislators to express your support for laws that protect wild animals and habitat. Live harmoniously with wild animals around your own home and when visiting public lands. Learn about invasive species, both plant and animal, and do your part to stop their spread. Only plant native and non-invasive plants in your yard and garden. What are the steps taken for the conservation of wildlife? 1. Some of the laws should be made to ban the killing or capturing of endangered animals or birds. It should be made a punishable offense. Such laws should be enforced strictly and should not remain on paper only. 2. Indiscriminate killing of wild birds and animals, whether are in abundance, should not be allowed by the forest authorities. 3. The more number of national parks and sanctuaries should be established for preserving the natural habitats of wild animals and birds throughout the country. 4. The Department of Government should conduct a periodic survey in all the forests regarding the conservation of wildlife. They should have the knowledge about the population of all the species of wild animals and birds, so that they can be helped during the time of floods and famines. 5. Special attention should be paid even by us also to the conservation of endangered species of wild animals and birds to prevent their extinction altogether. Thank you for watching. Stay home, stay safe and healthy.